Did you know that green beans grow like this? There is a type of green bean that grows in a vine, which is not uncommon because there are pole beans. But this type of green bean grows really long, kind of skinny beans that are round for the most part, and they're called long beans. Today we're going to look at long beans. Last summer, Jeremiah, my son, put up this string trellis for long beans. And what he did was put posts in about every 10-ish feet. And then he took a heavy string and put it across the top, another heavy string across the bottom. And then he took lighter weight string and wove it up and down, connecting the top and the bottom strands and making a trellis out of it for the beans to climb. It worked really well, but over the winter the strings kind of moved around and didn't stay in their original position, so some of them got kind of bunched up instead of staying where we wanted them to stay. The plants you see here with the beans on them and vining up, they're actually volunteers. Last year pods got left on the plants, dropped to the ground, and this spring the bean seeds sprouted and made a new plant right there, true to what it started, because there was nothing here to cross-pollinate with. And then there are shorter beans down on this end and some underneath those taller ones too that were purposefully planted. Old guy came here 2-3 weeks, probably about 3 weeks ago, and he planted these beans that are growing well. They're starting, some of them are starting to get out of their place that they're supposed to be for their vine, and we'll have to take those and physically put them up to the string so that they can connect there, wrap themselves around. The flowers of these beans are really very interesting. They're flat, and I don't think they really open up that much. Usually they grow in pairs, 2 beans to the end there where they bloom, but this one has 3. But they didn't all come out the same length. 2 of them are shorter and 1 of them's longer. Typically you try to pick them at this stage or smaller. These are another 2 that are side by side, and actually on the little bit farther from the end there's another pair blooming. When they get this big, they're almost not good because it gets soft. Although this one's fairly hard, but it gets soft and the texture just isn't as good anymore. So you want to pick them before they get to this point right here. At the farmer's market where we were going before, there was a very strong Asian influence, and so you would find vendors all over the place there with bundles of these beans, and they just pick them, they make them all the same length at the one head, they wrap rubber bands around them, and they sell them as a bundle. Then when you can take the beans into your house, you just rinse them off real quick, lay that bundle down, maybe cut the rubber band off, and you can start chopping down through the beans and make them to the length that you want them, whether it's longer or shorter. It's not any of the take one bean at a time and clip one end off and then break it into 3 pieces, one at a time. You do the whole bundle at the same time and it's much quicker. So I've got a good harvest here right now of these beans. Look at those are nice. They're often called yard-long beans. I don't know what this specific variety is. I suspect it might be a Filipino variety. But I'm going to get this harvested and then take it to the kitchen. I brought in a lot of beans. This is too many for me to use at any one time, so what I will do is take sections of them, however many I feel like we can eat at a meal, and I'm going to wrap them around like that, kind of like you coil a lariat, and stick it down into a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer. I'm choosing not to blanch, but you can blanch if you feel better about that. For preparing them, you can cook them in a sauteed situation where you do it in a skillet. You can boil them with some ham and onions. You can throw them in soup. And there might even be other things you can do with them. Typically with these kind of green beans, you don't want to overcook them. They seem to, in my opinion, fall apart a little bit faster if you overcook them and get mushy. So for the best texture and taste of these things, you want to do what might be considered a little bit undercooking of them, which causes a little bit of a problem for me with old guy, because he grew up with green beans that his mother fixed that were cooked to death. And so I have to be careful that I can get them cooked the way he wants them, but not overcooked. Since these green beans have a tendency to fall apart if you overcook them, I think that the best means of storing them would not be through canning, because you have to cook the canned green beans a long time under pressure, and I think it would be too hard on them. So I think that the best method is to put them in the freezer and store them that way for later use. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.
Just to be with you.